I'm Charlie Bright of Gold Derby, and today I am speaking with Linda Mendoza, the Emmy-nominated director of the Wanda Sykes Netflix special, I'm an Entertainer. You've directed Wanda. You directed one of Wanda's specials before. I'm curious as to how did your relationship with Wanda begin?
Well, we actually met when she was a writer on the Chris Rock show. That was her first job, I believe. She had been doing stand-up, but I think that was her first real job in entertainment. She used to work for I think the National Security, um, the NSA, is that what it's called?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was her very first television show, I believe. So we met in 1997. And we actually became friends on that show. I would go out and watch her do her set. I would go on what they called the club crawl. She'd do a set at Caroline's and she'd go down and do something at the Cellar. Then she'd go up and do something at Catch a Rising Star and maybe a midnight show at Caroline's. It was really fun. So I've known her and her comedy for a really long time, and I've always admired how smart and brilliant she is. And, she's just such an amazing human on top of all of that. She's very special.
What's it been like since you've known her for so long, going on? I'm guessing I'd say it's like what 26 years now.
Mhm.
Um, uh, what's it been like to see her, grow as a comic and also, as a performer as well?
You know what? Amazing, actually, because right when you think she can't be any better, she just surprises you. Like Not Normal was so perfect. It was such a perfect show. And and I couldn't help but wonder, like, man, how is she going to top this? That was, then when we were shooting was just so good and so exciting and so brilliant. And I got called in late for this because her partner Paige was supposed to direct it, but she ended up getting COVID. So they kind of called me and said, "Hey, would you be available?" And I happened to have that week off, and I said, "Yeah, if you need me, call me. Of course, I would never leave you guys hanging." So, I got a call a few days later. "Hey, I think I'm going to make it. I'm feeling better." I'm like, "Okay, great, perfect, no problem." Cut to 2 days after that. "Hey, can you get on a flight tomorrow?" And when I did Not Normal, I saw a lot of Wanda's shows live, to see what she did, how the audience reacted, where the, bigger laughs were, where the resets, like where she's changing, topics, the all like what are her act outs and then into the next piece or whatever. And I didn't have that for I'm an Entertainer. So they sent me a couple of tapes and I just watched them over and over and over again until I, was shooting it.
So this special was shot in Philadelphia, and
Yeah.
I'm curious as to what led to Philadelphia being chosen as the city to shoot this special in.
I think because Wanda's, been living in Pennsylvania for a long time, it is the city of brotherly love, and that is Wanda's thing, like she's always done the heart at the end of her shows. And, I just feel like it kind of made sense in that respect. Why she really chose it, I can't say for sure, but that would be my guess. Because, like I said, I came in later, everything had already been, like going forward.
So, we were talking about this a bit before we started recording, but your filmography as a director has so much, a little bit of everything in there. And one of the things I noticed was that you've directed several specials that have been filmed at the White House. And so, what I'm curious about is what is it like to film a special at the White House, and what are some of the unique challenges that come up from that location?
Um, well, it is definitely unique in terms of the challenges, in terms of the dialogue that you use. wording, in terms of space, and also just clearance getting in, like, and being able to move in and out of that venue, more than once a day is not an easy challenge. Um, but we were it had to be really specific about where the cameras were and what that space was that we took up. We had to always make sure that we had room for press, and we had to make sure that we had room for any, handicap needs and things like that, but really needed specificity when it came to working with the president and Mrs. Obama, like down to what entrance, how many steps, how many moves does he make during the show, at what point will he go to the stage to introduce the recipient, or give the medal at the end, very, very specific things. And protocol is a big thing. Like, it was all about, like, oh, you need the presidential podium because you need the presidential seal whenever he's speaking. You have to have the seal. And it was really the first time we went in there, it was his very first, first couple of months in office. It was February. And so it was really, really interesting. And working with Mrs. Obama, she was really just such a lovely, lovely human. And it was so funny because at the end of the show, the very first show, I had gone up to her and I said, Michelle, you did such a great job. Because she was the host who introduced the show and what we were doing there and everything. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. Mrs. Obama floated us. I'm not sure what protocol is. And she said, Linda, this is protocol. And she gave me the biggest hug. Like, it was an incredible moment, and then I got to shake his hand, and he was so sweet. He's like, so what's your name and what did you do? And I said, well, I was the director. And he's like, no kidding, good for you. It was hilarious. Yeah, it's good. Once we were going in and we saw somebody go in with something, it was really trippy, man. Like, and it was like wrapped up in paper. And we were behind them. And you have to go through, like a screening process. You got to go, everything goes through the X-ray. So I don't understand how this guy thought he was going to get that in. Well, cut to like literally 3 minutes later, everything is shut down. Like, we went on lockdown. Like, nobody in, nobody out. It was very, very interesting to see that happen. Yeah, it's crazy. I've been there with Stevie Wonder, Paul McCartney, Burt Bacharach, Carole King. We did a special to Ray Charles there. It's been amazing. A lot of really great, great opportunities.
It's interesting. As I said, looking at your filmography, you have so many, not just so many credits, but so many different types of things. I mean, you've done, variety specials, you've done stand-up specials, you've worked on award shows, you've worked on your, classic, episodic comedies like Scrubs and the Crazy Ones and Blackish. I'm curious, is there a type of directing, or is there a medium of directing that you feel more at home in working in, or does all of it sort of just come naturally to you?
In the beginning, I will say variety and understanding placement of cameras and how a stage moves definitely came easier to me. Once I started doing single camera, I will say to you, Charlie, I had to go between a multicam proscenium brain and a single camera we're in the scene brain. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to be out here shooting a long shot. Like, what is that shot you want inside the space? And I will say that while it has its limitations in terms of time, because you get 5 days to shoot a half hour, so you really have to be prepared. but the amount of creativity that opened up in a different way of looking at things was pretty phenomenal. And I think that has now informed how I shoot multicam. You know what I mean? It's not any longer about where's the entrance, who's got the backup vocals. It's also about the emotion of it. And I feel like now I kind of blend those two worlds pretty seamlessly.
So I mentioned in our introduction that you're nominated for an Emmy for directing for a variety special for Wanda's stand-up special. It's your second one. You were nominated, I think, 2 or 3 years ago for Tiffany Haddish's stand-up special. What was it like to find out that you had been nominated for an Emmy this year?
Well, it was really strange because it was pretty early in the morning and I wasn't even thinking about the Emmys. I just saw Wanda's calling. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Why is she calling so early? So I answer, hey, what's up? And she's like, hold on 1 second. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And then she gets page on. They're like, congratulations, you got nominated. I'm like, I did? I said, I think that's my first one. They go, no, it's not. It's like, oh my God, because it was early in the morning and I just wasn't really like, oh yeah, that's right. Flame. I got nominated for Tiffany's. Her series was called They Ready, and it was for Flame Monroe particularly. And then I felt so bad that I didn't remember that because Wanda and Paige produced it. I just don't think about all my like I don't think about myself like that. I forget these things. It's kind of crazy, I know, but like, oh yeah, that's right, I was nominated. And I've even won like a couple for Sesame Street, and it's like, oh yeah, I am an Emmy winner. Like somebody said, you're an Emmy winner. I go, no, I haven't won yet. You have 2 for Sesame Street. It's like, oh yeah, right.
Do you not have them do you not have them like displayed at the house, or are they just like?
Well, I mean, they're in my music room, but it's not like, I'm polishing them every day or anything.
Well, Linda, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you all the best over this for the rest of this upcoming Emmy season, whatever they may be. And
Yes.
And to all of our viewers, please like, subscribe, and don't forget to keep going to Gold Derby to update your Emmy predictions in advance of the 75th Emmy Awards. Thanks so much, Linda.
Thank you so much.